So let's start from the beginning. Where you from?
Absolutely. Born and raised from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Go Cavs, go Indians, go Cleveland Browns, Shador.
Okay. There you go. Absolutely. Shador Sanders.
Perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Yes. For sure. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about, Rhasheeda, your coming up in Cleveland. Let's start there first.
Yeah, so Cleveland is definitely, it's the hood. It's the hood all day, every day, you know, and I'm so thankful for what Cleveland embedded in me, which was the hustle, the grind, never give up. Just being the best you could be, that striving for greatness vibe that LeBron James have. I'm a big LeBron James fan. I mean, I saw LeBron James from the beginning, from playing in the parks in Akron, Ohio, and then actually playing my school. I went to Catholic school, so he played my school when he was at St. Vincent, St. Mary. So I always knew for me, even as a kid, that I wanted to be a boss. Like, that was always embedded in me to be a boss. Like, my mama was a boss. My daddy was a boss. My granddaddy was a boss. My grandma was a boss. Everyone that was around me was boss status and changing the barriers of being Black in America, you know. I talk about a lot when I was a kid, my grandparents would always say, all my grandparents lived in the suburbs, so they would say, like, we was the first Black person in the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
You know, we were the first Black people to own businesses and different things to that nature. So me and my sisters grew up seeing a lot of greatness. And so our parents pushed us to the limits. And so it was never, you can't, it's like you can. It's like, just what do you want to do? And so where it started for me and where sales really started was really with my little sister who here today. We would play teacher, and I was always the teacher. And so she could never be the teacher. And so it started there.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And she's laughing because
yeah. Oh, wow. She could never be the teacher. Why was that?
Because I was the boss.
You was the boss.
Everybody had to do what I wanted to do. Everyone knew when they hung out with us, we're going to do what I want to do. Nobody could do what they wanted to do. But everyone followed me anyway. So it was...
Leader.
I was always had that leader instinct.
Yeah.
And so, but I was never leader. People do crazy stuff. It was just stuff. You know, we just stuff. And so, you know, we grew up in the suburbs. So most of my family did live in the inner city of Cleveland. But one thing my mom and dad put in us is like, yeah, y'all live in the suburbs. Y'all get to go to private school, Catholic school, but y'all gonna go to the hood too. Y'all gonna see that too. You know, our cousins came to our house and we enjoyed them, but we went to their house in the projects as well too. And so I got to see best of both worlds, and the hustling part of it and then the corporate part of it as well too. And I think when I would go to the hood, which was like 105 in St. Clair, where a lot of my family is from, I saw the hustlers, right? And the hustlers, I was so intrigued by them. I was like, damn, like they got it going on.
What was your intrigue? Okay,
the
go
cars,
ahead.
the money, the flashiness, all of that was like, that's the lifestyle I want. But I don't want to be in the streets, though. I knew that. Like, I knew I didn't want to be in the streets. But I was like, I want to be fly. I got to be fly. Like, that was my motto. And so growing up, I was always the flyest girl in the neighborhood. Like, I stayed fly. Like, the latest J's, Iceberg, all of that.
Iceberg, okay.
Coogee.
Yeah, Coogee, yeah.
All of that. And so I'll just say I wanted to be dope girl magic. Like, that was just me. Like, I just wanted to be super dope girl fresh. Like, that was me. Like, I did that all through middle school, high school. I was best dressed, all of that.
Okay.
I think, but before getting to all of the success that I got, there was a point in my life where when my parents, they divorced, and I wanted to be a bad girl. And so I fought a lot. Got suspended a lot. I didn't skip school and stuff like that, but I would fight.
What was this, high school, you say?
Middle school. Middle school.
Gotcha.
I fought a lot. And I think it was because I was trying to find myself in some instances, but also too, girls would mess with me. And so I was one of the ones like, if you mess with me, I got you then. Like, I didn't want nobody else to get me. Like, you can't never get me. And I still have that. Like, I'm going to get you before you get me. And so I had that motto. And even though I lived in the suburb, I was fighting. I was fighting a lot of girls. And my mother, I remember, I got kicked out of Shaker Heights High School for fighting. Well, middle school, excuse me. For fighting so much. They kicked me and my sister out. That's how much I was fighting.
Oh, wow.
They kicked us out, kicked me out.
How many fights have you had to say that you potentially had while you was in middle school? Oh, it could be you and your sister. Like, how many fights you was say?
No, my little sister never fought. She never had to fight.
Never fight. Okay. Gotcha.
They knew if they came for my sister, I'm coming first.
Yeah.
My sister probably had one fight in her life. And that was when I went to college.
Okay. If you had to give an estimate, though, how many fights you had? 30 plus. Woo!
Yeah, I stayed suspended. I stayed in school suspension. Middle school was hard. It was hard, because I didn't want to get me. I didn't like people talking about me. I didn't like people approaching me.
Yeah.
And my mom, I remember when we got kicked out of Shaker, she sat me down and she was like, you got two choices. Choice number one is you turn this around. You get your education, you become a professional. Or choice number two is I'm putting you in jail.
Mom threatened to put you in jail. Wow.
And I'm like, jail?
Yeah.
I ain't going to no jail. Is you crazy? And she like, I'm dead serious. You're going to go to jail. She's like, I'm going to put you in juvenile detention. And I'm like, I'm fresh and I ain't going to be able to wear my clothes. And so I thought about that conversation she had with me, and I had to turn it around. And I turned it around immediately. I was like, it was a point where my mom was just, she had keep telling me, but I knew with that conversation, she was dead serious.
Yeah.
Like, you're out of here. And I don't care at what point, because my mother was fed up with coming back and forth to the school. Parents was pressing charges on me. It was it was a lot that had happened during that time. And so I was like, well, I don't want to be that, And so I was the lead, and then I was a part of a gang that I had created. And so a lot of stuff had happened. Oh, wow. And so people got in trouble for real. Like, even my little sister got in trouble because they was like, she was a part of it. It was.
And this middle school or high school?
This is middle school.
Middle school. Created a gang. Wow. You always had the leadership ability, but you started off gang-wise, though.
Yeah,
okay.
I did. So when I got in high school, I went to Catholic school.
Oh, okay.
And so in Catholic school, my mama sat me down. She was like, look, I'm paying for school. Ain't no getting suspended. Ain't none of that, And I knew my mother was sacrificing for me to go to Villa Angela. Yeah. And she went to Villa Angela too. So I knew that I could not mess that up. And her name was writing. I was writing on her name, right? Right. And one thing I never wanted to do was disappoint my parents. My dad was heavy on me. My grandparents were heavy on me. They was like, you got to go into Villa Angela doing the right thing. And I went through all my 4 years doing the right thing. I had a couple altercations, but it was nothing like
back in middle school.
Yeah. No. Because I wanted to be cute, fresh, fly. I was a leader. So, like, that's where I cultivated, like, okay, I knew I had to get out of Cleveland now. Because Cleveland is like the brick city, right? You got a couple choices in the land. It's either sell dope, be a baby mama, or a low-paying wage job. And I didn't want any three of those. I wanted to be rich, be a boss. I wanted all of that substance. I wanted that dope girl magic. And so I kept my grades up. I took my ACT, SAT, and I got accepted into the University of Cincinnati.
Okay.
My dad lived in Cincinnati, so my dad, who's tatted on me, I'm daddy's little girl. My dad has always been in my life, and I went to UC, University of Cincinnati.
Okay.
From there, that was really when I was like, oh yeah, I could do anything I want to do now, like, because I'm breaking barriers. Now, keep in mind, my parents went to college. My dad went to Howard. My mom had a college education, so I wasn't the first. I seen my aunts go to college. My uncle was a computer engineer, and he worked at IBM. And he actually created the electrical grids that were used in South Africa many moons ago. He went down there and created electrical grids, which then he created them in LA as well too. So I knew about success. I seen success. Like my uncle, he lived in a big mansion, and I was like, I want to do all the stuff he's doing. My life is literally a mimic of his, and I just did it better than him, you know, and I did it quicker than he could. But when he was at IBM, there weren't black men as computer engineers, C++ certified. He was like 1 in a trillion. There weren't black men doing that. And so I watched my uncle just become successful, travel all over the world. And that was where, and I got in college. I went to college to become a computer engineer. I wanted to be just like him.